I've had an abortion and sometimes either think about it or regret it. So, when I 18 and my partner 19 meters were 16 and 17, we found out that I was pregnant. I kinda had suspicions beforehand, as I needed to pee more frequently than usual, was more emotional, was just extra tired, and my period didn't show when it was supposed to during the trip. We were on a camping trip with his family for about 2 to 3 weeks, so I couldn't take a test right away. We had fun on the trip, but the thought of it was stuck in my head. Once we got back to his house after his mom let me use a test, we hoped that it wasn't going to be, but it was positive. A positive that quickly showed on the test. That scared us. We started to freak out about it as we didn't know what to do. So his mom called mine to explain the situation. I started to freak more about that because of the fact I had told my mom that I was active and that her and my grandma were coming over. Luckily, they were both supportive on whatever decision I chose, and that I had a week to figure out what I'm doing. Honestly, that week before the doctor's appointment was a blur. I had to go to school with many different thoughts of what am I gonna do? How is this happening? What is gonna happen? I desperately wanted to tell one of my friends because I honestly didn't know what to do, but it was probably for the best that I didn't. There was also certain comments that were told to me by my mom and my grandma. I honestly can't remember what was said, but I know my grandma said something about with figuring this out cause we had a family trip in the next month. I know one of those nights, my mom said something about how is this happening, and to me, it sounded as if I was being a problem, especially with what was happening. My partner was with me for whatever I chose, because we were in this together no matter what, but sometimes I still feel like it wasn't enough. The day of the doctor's appointment, it was me, my partner, his mom and my mom. We drove to a birth control center that was about 20 minutes from our houses, but it felt like way longer. We turned into the parking lot, and we were met with a few protesters outside the gate. It didn't feel real, because this is something I've only seen through media and never thought to experience. Luckily, they were on the outside, so we went in with no problems, but I felt ashamed. I still do. We went in on Saturday and waited for my name to be called. When I got called, they wanted me to go back by myself, so I asked if my partner can come in after, when they talked to me about what I'm doing. Luckily, they said yes. Once I was in, they had to do an ultrasound to determine how far along I was, but because it was early, they had to do a transvaginal, not sure if that's right word, ultrasound. During all of this, I was mostly quiet and trying not to cry. After the ultrasound was done, she told me that I was 6 weeks and 6 days along, just a day short of 7 weeks. I asked if I could keep the ultrasound pictures, and luckily they let me. So after I got cleaned up, they got my partner and discussed what I'm gonna do. We knew that we were too young, weren't prepared, and overall not mentally ready to have a kid. So we chose to have a chemical abortion. What it was that I had to take a pill that basically stops the fetus from growing that day, and take 4 smaller pills that sit in my cheeks the next day, and throughout the day is when the process would happen. After I took the first pill, they let us have the room for a man. Before we went back out to our moms, I showed him the pictures, and I couldn't hold it in any longer and broke down crying. Once we both calmed down, we headed out the waiting room. I don't remember if it was my mom or his mom, but one of them asked how far along I was, but I just said that they didn't tell me, because I didn't want to answer. Before we headed back to the car, they had to pay for procedure and pills. The whole thing cost for $100, which our mom split. I feel really ashamed and guilty about this, because they were both kinda struggling with money at the time. I've been tempted to give them both the money back to repay for what they had to do for me. After we left, I don't remember what happened. I think I went home and napped because of so much going on. I just remember the next day was a lot. I took the pills around the same time as the one from the day before, and waited. After about an hour or so, I went to the bathroom and was stuck there for a couple of hours. At this point, it was the most pain I have felt, and I couldn't do anything. Back to when my partner said that we were in this together no matter what. But I feel like it wasn't enough. It was in this moment, I didn't feel like it was enough. I think I told him about how I felt, but not truly, and I don't hate him for this. During the time I was stuck on the toilet, all I wanted was him by my side, but he didn't want to come over, and it was because he was upset about this just as much as me. I just wish he was there, because I was losing a piece of both of us. I still think about this quite often, especially since right after all this, Roe v. Wade got overturned. So if this happened just a bit later, I don't know what would have happened. Luckily, I live in a state that protects towards things like this. Luckily, I managed to get on birth control quick to prevent this from happening again. One good thing about birth control is that I don't get periods anymore, which is helpful. But like I said in the title, sometimes I think about this. Sometimes to the point I put myself in a hole of overthinking or regret. I sometimes regret the choice I made, even when I know that it was for the best. The regret is because I get this heavy feeling of emptiness. And the best I can to explain this is because I lost a piece of myself and of my partner. Sometimes it's hard to explain that emptiness feeling to him, because he didn't exactly experience what I went through. But I've been trying my best to explain. We have talks every once in a while about this sort of thing, just to talk, especially because the feelings have been coming up more in recent months. We know that we made the right choice, and in the future, we'll try to be ready for what's to come. But in the meantime, we try to love and enjoy each other while we can. My ex-girlfriend ended a relationship of 3 years for 1 week. I don't know how to start this, and I'm sorry if I don't have a perfect grammar. I used to be in a relationship with this beautiful girl. She's 20 while I'm 21 currently. I've dated her once in high school, but could enjoy our company together. So we ended it because of school reasons, so I've known her since. The thing is, about like 3 years ago, I started talking to her again, since she was about to finish high school, and I wanted to resume our relationship, since we both weren't going to be in high school anymore. She said yes, but some stuff had to be sorted out. Like for example, she relied on talking to people she shouldn't online, and she cut ties with those people. And not talking about excluding her from friends, if you think that, but that's another topic. So we started dating non-official 3 years ago, and it was nice, but about 3 months into the relationship, she cheated on me with her best friend. I know this because she called me crying and asking for forgiveness for what she did, and I let it slide, since we weren't officially dating and getting more to know each other. But I was also crazy for her, since I also did stuff I won't mention that put me in a bad emotional position. And this is just the first year of being together. In the second year of relationship, I started studying to be a medical assistant and was doing good with her. So I started having a part-time job during the middle of studying because we needed money. So I started working for a telephone company part-time, but we worked through it. And she saw me be from a maintenance worker to a medical assistant. But when I was 2 months working as a medical assistant, she left somewhere that's like 8 hours away by car on the 1st of 2020 to a funeral. And it's when it started again. And the worst thing is that we were actually progressing more like a couple. What happened is that she reconnected with her middle school crush and started dating immediately while she was still with me. When she came back from being a week away from me, I kept treating her like the girl of my dreams, like always. And she started asking me stuff like, when were you like this? Which didn't make sense, since I've always treated her like that. And I notices a lot of stuff about how she was seeing me, like if I was treating her differently, almost as if she felt guilty. Also the simple fact that she didn't want to borrow my phone, because if she did I would ask for hers, and she also changed her password. It was very suspicious. So I caught her a little distracted and yanked her phone away from her, and she started covering my eyes like not wanting to show me something. And that's where I stopped acting like I didn't know, and she also started confessing. I was so mad, still am a little bit too much, because I also remember telling her to be careful and NLT fall for nothing and anyone, which she didn't even care apparently. I even gave her time to finish with the other guy, since she didn't have sexual relationships nor nothing but sentimental stuff towards him apparently. But she clearly chose him over me, and within February 3rd weeks of letting her be, the relationship was over. What can I do to forget her? I still have feelings for her, and I just feel pain and hate. Of course, I did get my revenge by making the guy she fell in love with and her end the relationship, but what can I do to stop feeling like this? Any questions I will try to answer. I saw a friend while drunk and I don't remember anything. I'm 19F. Recently, I went to a party. At this party, I drank more than I thought I did and ended up blacking out for a couple hours. I remember at some point in the night, I was with a friend and separated from the rest of the group. I am not sure why, because I don't remember. What I remember is sitting with him and leaning on him, because I couldn't stand or sit on my own. I eventually just fell over into his lap. He was also extremely drunk and could not stand or redo anything either. From then on, I have a gap in my memory. The next day, I apologized for being weird. I assumed I probably was annoying and drunk, touchy, leaning on him for support and so on, or even made a move, because to be honest, there are many instances of me kissing friends when I'm drunk, even if I am not romantically interested in them. To be even more transparent, There was one other incident where I felt up another guy behind me, assuming it was the friend I was with because I did not realize my friend had left me. I am ashamed of all of these incidents and have apologized and attempted to take accountability for the last one. However, when my friend did not respond for a couple days, I felt SMTH was off. This morning, I received a long text of him confronting me ABT sign and violating him. He is OFC deeply hurt and upset about this. I apologized the best I could for a situation like this that cannot be remedied with a simple apology. A big problem is I don't remember what I did, and I don't want to push anyone to tell me. I'm wanting to talk to people involved soon. I feel wrong for even feeling upset at this situation, but I feel extreme guilt. I never thought I could hurt someone in this way, let alone a friend. Even though I did not intend for this to happen, I still violated someone, regardless if I was drunk. I'm going to stop drinking, but I wish I just was not like this at all. TBH, what happened happened, and there is nothing I can do to reverse it. I'm not looking for advice or ABC. I was not the one who was wronged. I just needed to talk ABT, ABCIDK, how to live with myself. Got fired. Am I the asshole? I was the manager of the finance department for a local government. I have been in my role for over 11 years and am a top performer. While I was away on vacation, my new boss of 7 months changed our one-to-one meeting to another one of our offices and asked me to meet him to look at staff office space for some of my staff. I didn't think anything of it and accepted the meeting update. I meet my boss at the new location as planned and he asks if he can grab a coffee first before we meet. I don't drink coffee, but sure I said, and we walked to a nearby coffee shop. He walks past the empty counter to the back of the room around a corner, where HR is waiting for me and I'm terminated. Without cause, my entire team is being moved to a neighboring city to work under their management, so I am redundant. This was never discussed in any meeting, and I am being offered for months of severance. After over 11 years of consistent top performance, recognized by the executive team, am I the asshole for declining to shake his hand at the end of the termination meeting and responding, "I'd rather not," when he extended his hand and wished me luck? My roommate died, and my friend blamed it on me. TW death, drugs, and overdose. My friend and roommate, Todd, died of an overdose in March, and I found his body the day after. The detectives said it was a heroin overdose and found meth pipes too. It was horrific and dramatic. One of my good friends, let's call him Dave, ghosted me for 2 months after the death. I hit him up asking why he ghosted me, and he told me that it was having trouble being friends with me because people were saying I was complacent and didn't do enough for Todd, and point blank asked me if I was doing drugs with Todd before he died. Also, he said that people said I didn't go to the memorial and funeral. I said fuck no, none or theist of that is true, and I freaked out because I had to know who the people were that were lying about this horrific tragedy. So it tells me it's our friend Sarah who is talking this shit. Okay. So I FaceTimed Sarah for an hour and she says Dave was actually the one who would never shut up about me, maybe being guilty, was trying to play detective and find out the truth, and ranting about his theories against me. That kind of thing. Dave was even lying that Dave slept with me, and that he was using her as a shield and playing both sides by lying to us both. BT, Dave's never even met Todd, so he has no personal stake in the game. Sarah met him once for an hour, but Todd was my friend. Sarah was sitting next to her friend Jane, who corroborated her story. BT. So that's the V1. I ended up confronting Dave and put him in his place for being a horrible friend to me and also a lying asshole, and told him to go fuck himself. Safe to say I burned that bridge. I do have a history of drug use, but never ever anything like heroin or meth. Allegedly Sarah was at Todd's memorial and told Dave she didn't see me there, but I was able to prove to both of them I was there. My question is, how the fuck do I figure out who is lying to me and who isn't? Are they both lying to me? Is Dave a psychopath, or just got wrapped up in finding the truth? Should I forgive Dave then? Did I overreact? Was it a misunderstanding? Should I ask if he's sorry for what he did and yell at him more? How can I ever show my face around that scene again if my reputation is destroyed? Do people think him a murderer now?